Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare. Jaya Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda, Radha Gokulananda Shri Radhe. Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman, Jaya Sita Ram Lakshman Hanuman. Jaya Gauranitai, Gauranitai, Patita Pavan Gauranitai. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Srila Prabhupada. Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Bhagavan ki, Shri Shri Sitaram Lakshman Hanuman ji ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Jagat Guru Srila Prabhupada ki, Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Once again, welcome everyone to the Bhagavad Gita class at Bhaktivedanta Manor. Thank you all for joining us this evening. We'd be discussing from the chapter 11 called the Universal Form, and we'd be discussing the verse 38 from chapter 11. Before we start, we'd invoke the presence and blessings of the divinity with a small mantra, easy to repeat after me. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Tvam Adideva Purusha Puranas, Tvam Asya Vishvasya Param Nidhanam, Vettasi Vedyam Cha Param Cha Dhama, Tvaya Tatam Vishvam Anantarupa. Word-to-word translation. Tvam, you. Adi Deva, the original supreme God. Purusha, personality. Purana, old. Tvam, you. Asya, of this. Vishvasya, universe. Param, transcendental. Nidhanam, refuge. Vetta, the knower. Asi, you are. Vedyam, the knowable. Cha, and. Param, transcendental. Cha, and. Dham, refuge. Tvaya, by you. Tatam, pervaded. Vishvam, the universe. Anantarupa, O unlimited form. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. You are the original personality of Godhead, the oldest, the ultimate sanctuary of this manifested cosmic world. You are the knower of everything, and you are all that is knowable. You are the supreme refuge, above the material modes. O unlimited form, this whole cosmic manifestation is pervaded by you. Purport: everything is resting on the supreme personality of Godhead. Therefore, he is the ultimate rest. Nidhanam means that everything, even the Brahman effulgence, rests on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. He is the knower of everything that's happening in the world, in this world. And if knowledge has any end, he is the end of all knowledge. Therefore, he is the known and the knowable. He is the object of knowledge because he is all-pervading. Because he is the cause in the spiritual world, he is transcendental. He is also the chief personality in the transcendental world. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So as I said, this is chapter 11, and this was verse 38. And this chapter is titled as the universal form. So what's the context? Let's try to understand that a bit. So Krishna had previously mentioned in previous chapters that his spark sustains the whole universe. And he pervades and supports the whole universe. But Arjun wishes to see this. We have to pause here for a second and ask, does Arjun really want to see this and need to see this? What do you think? Okay, you think yes. What about others? Arjun has requested Krishna, by the way, because Krishna had declared already that by my spark, the whole universes are sustained. And then Arjun says, my dear Lord, can I see this form of yours? But what is your opinion? What do you think? Does Arjun really want to see? So some of you think yes. Yeah? Okay. So let's try to break it down as to what it means when Arjun requests Krishna to reveal this form of his. So first thing is, we could ask ourselves, what is it that Arjun will gain if he sees the universal form of Krishna? Will he really gain anything? Not really. Why is that? Because Arjun already accepts the two-armed form of Krishna. And he has referred to the two-armed form of Krishna as Purushottam and Parameshwar. Purushottam means the Supreme Personality. Parameshwar, Supreme Lord, best of personalities, he says. That you, Krishna, you're the best of personalities, Purushottam. And you are the Parameshwar, you're the Supreme Lord. Arjun has already said it. That means Arjun is in the knowledge already that he is the sustainer, that his spark can actually sustain the whole universe. So that answers our question that Arjun doesn't really wish to see it internally. Why does Arjun still ask for it? Srila Prabhupada, in his purport to the 8th verse from the same chapter, calls this form of God as godless display of opulences. It's interesting that Prabhupada calls this form as godless display of opulences. Why is that? Because for the devotees, they are able to relate to the two-armed form of Krishna. So Srila Prabhupada, Arjuna, devotees like that, they need not and they generally do not wish to see this form of Lord. Also, Srila Prabhupada offers various reasons in his purports to text 1 and 2. First reason that he gives is why Arjun wants to see this form is that Arjun's illusion is already over. Yes, we saw that Arjun has already referred to Krishna as that my doubts, my illusions have been vanquished, and I can see that you are the Purushottam, you are the Parameshwar. So that is clear. But then he thinks about, see, Vaishnav's devotees, what do they say? Vaishnav janto tene kahiye, peer parai jane re. That means Vaishnavs by nature are compassionate. So Arjun is thinking about us. Arjun is thinking about those who, or even atheists, or those who would want to ask for the proof of Krishna. So it is for this reason Arjun considers that how human beings, how they are going to believe, those who don't want to believe, those who ask for proofs, that give us the proof. How? So to make it easier for them to digest, Arjun makes this request to Krishna. And then Arjun is enlightened and glad to have such a friend. That's another point. Since Arjun already knows that Krishna is the Supreme Lord, he's happy to know this, but then he wonders, who is going to establish the fact that Krishna is actually the divinity? So, on behalf of the whole human race, he asks this question. And another point is, he wants to set a criterion so that in future, no imposter can claim that I am God. There's that danger also always, that we may be cheated. Yeah? So nobody can claim that I'm God. Okay, if you claim so, can you show your universal form as it was shown to Arjun by Krishna? So what are the two reasons? One is Arjun's compassion for the human beings, so that those who ask for the proof, right, they can see the universal form there. And to set a criterion that nobody can claim I'm God. Because if you are, then you need to show the universal form. And it's interesting that Krishna gives Arjun a special vision to see this form, universal form. Before this, Krishna kept telling Arjun to work on the mind. When Arjun complains, or let's say when Arjun says, all of that you're saying, it's easy, but when it comes to the mind, it's easier to control the wind than the mind. What does Krishna say to that? Krishna says, when that happens, you bring it back. And it's interesting, Krishna doesn't say, if that happens. That means Krishna knows it is going to happen. And then when Krishna says this means so far, until the revelation of the universal form, Krishna was focusing on Arjun's mind. He wanted Arjun to work on his mind. But now Krishna says, you need a different vision. So it's important to kind of analyze where Krishna is also emphasizing more. So Krishna is also emphasizing more on that we control the mind. Seeing the universal form, all of that is secondary, isn't it? Another point here is that Arjun is also the beginning of the parampara system. So in that sense, he needs to confirm that Krishna is actually presented as the supreme, because whatever he learns is going to come down through the parampara system. Another interesting fact is that Arjun is not really interested in this universal form, is that he eventually requests Krishna to first show his Narayan form after the universal form, and then Arjun requests that you can now please come back to two-handed form. This means Arjun is really genuinely not interested in this. And why is that? As I said, because that is a more relatable form of Krishna for the devotees. Now let's understand what's the meaning of the universal form. So universal form is that which has three main components. One is the presence. As we already saw, that Krishna had made a declaration before in the preceding chapters that I'm all-pervading. In fact, my spark is enough to sustain the universes. Another point here is the power. So universal form, of course, is also going to be powerful. And then what's the purpose of the universal form? So this universal form, with all these three components of presence, power, and purpose, sustains the whole universe. And then how can we perceive the universal form? So one method is that Krishna reveals it himself as he revealed to Arjun, right? And that is, we can understand that as the top-down vision. Top-down vision because it's coming straight from Krishna. Krishna chooses to reveal it through this medium, so it's like a gift that Krishna gives. And it's interesting that only few other people were allowed this. One was Arjun himself. Second was Mother Yashoda in a different way, in a different setting. And then it was also briefly shown to Duryodhan. in a different Duryodhan. Sorry? Yeah, in that sense. Yeah, of course. And then, so like that, this form is also shown. So this is the top-down method, a gift by Krishna, revelation like that. But how do we see this? So there is a method for that also. So this is more based on conceptualization, meaning to say it is bottom-up approach. We start to conceptualize it from the bottom, meaning to say if we are perceiving objects in the nature, even the celestial bodies, all of that can be considered as parts of the universal form as prescribed in Srimad Bhagavatam. But this approach, which is bottom-up tool, this is more in nature, subtly it's going to vary because all of us are going to perceive it slightly differently. So hence we find certain slight variations in its descriptions, even in the sections of Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, and now some very interesting fact here. So we saw why Arjun requests for this form. We saw what's the meaning of this form. And now we can look at how Arjun's reaction to this form changes. How Arjun's thrilling vision turns chilling. Yeah? So this was thrilling in the beginning because this vision takes place in 3 stages. So stage 1 is when Arjun sees the universal form, and that's kind of pervading all directions. This is the stage 1, when Krishna reveals the universal form. Stage 2 is when Krishna starts to emanate fire from his mouth. Okay? And stage 3 is eventually when Krishna starts to devour all the warriors on the battlefield. Now this is interesting. It's not like Krishna immediately reveals all of it altogether. He gradually, step by step. So first he shows the all-pervading form. Second, he starts to emanate fire from his mouth. And finally, he starts to devour the warriors on the battlefield into his mouth. Now, this is why it starts to turn from a thrilling vision into a chilling vision. We can actually look at it from a more practical example. If we were to watch a sci-fi movie, a science fiction movie, with our acquaintances in our bedroom or living room, and suddenly what we start to see is, it's, let's say, a 3D movie or something, and then you see that there's this gigantic being inside of that movie, and you're thrilled to see it. Next moment, that creature starts to creep out of the screen. And so this we can compare with Krishna breathing fire from his mouth. Krishna emanating fire from his mouth. And now, when that creature not only starts to come out of the television screen, but also starts to devour your acquaintances into its mouth. Of course, that thrill is going to turn into a chill. So this is how it changes for Arjun. And this actually is unsought for. Arjun has not requested this. Yeah, Arjun, and also this is unidentified with. Arjun did not expect this. So what's the purpose of this form? This is actually an additional feature of the universal form that Krishna shows. So when we saw it was all pervading, and these additional features, these additional forms of the all-devouring form, this is called Kalaroop. So one is the Vishwaroop, and in addition to that is Kalaroop. What's the purpose of it? And Arjun also is inquisitive to ask this question. Arjun asks 2 questions. Who are you? It's interesting. Right in the middle of this dialogue, Arjun is taking a pause to ask this question. Who are you? Krishna answers, Kalaroop, I am time. Krishna says, I'm time. Next question that Arjun asks is, what is your mission? Yeah? Okay, your time, but then what's your purpose? Krishna says, destruction. Yeah? But it's interesting to note, souls cannot be destructed. So he's here to destruct all that is material. And it's even more interesting to note that Krishna says, I'm here to destruct everything except you Pandavas. I am here to destruct everything except you. That means not the devotees. And he is reiterating this. He has already said this in the previous chapters, that my devotees cannot be perished. In fact, Krishna doesn't say it. Krishna tells Arjun to say it. Can you guess why? Why Krishna asks Arjun to make this declaration that my devotees cannot be perished? Why doesn't Krishna say it himself? Any guesses? Krishna could have said it himself, that my devotees cannot be perished. Why does he ask Arjun to make this declaration? What do you think? It's because Krishna can break his own promise. And we have seen that. He had taken a vow to not raise any weapons in the battlefield. But in order to protect the devotees, he did that. He broke his promise. But Krishna never breaks the promise of his devotees. This is why the word of devotees is so dear to Krishna, even dearer than his own promises. This is why Krishna tells Arjun, Arjun, why don't you make it a declaration to the world that my devotees can never be perished? And this is why Krishna says, I'm here in this Kalaroop. I am the time, and I'm here to destroy everyone except you, Pandavas. Another interesting point is Krishna reorients this entire discussion to the original dilemma of Arjun. The whole Bhagavad Gita starts with Arjun's dilemma. Arjun not wanting to fight the battle. And then he asks Krishna to tell him what to do. So Krishna is taking the discussion back to the original question, whether to fight this battle or not. So this is another reason why he's bringing in the Kalaroop, why he's bringing in his identity as time, because he wants to reorient. So how is he reorienting this discussion back to the same question? By telling Arjun that destruction is going to happen. All those who you think you're going to kill, they're already killed by me. Yeah, this is what Krishna says. All those that you think you're going to kill, they'll be killed anyway. Now it's your choice whether you want to become an instrument of my will. So that Krishna can bring in this point, he can actually make it visually also clear that, see, I'm already devouring all those. But now it's up to you whether you want to become an instrument. And this is why he says, Nimitra matram bhava sabya sachi. That you're only nimitta matram. That you're only an instrument. And he refers to Arjuna as sabyasachi. And it's interesting, at this point only Krishna refers to Arjuna as sabyasachi. Sabyasachi means a skilled archer. He is referring to Arjuna in identification with his skill. That's interesting. Why does he do that? Because a general tendency can be, if we do something, by we, I only mean myself, by the way. So we can take it as, I did it. It was done by me. Let's say, I won the battle. It was my skill as Sabyasachi, was my skill as this person, that I won it. But it's interesting to note that Krishna, he is in the knowledge that he is the doer. Krishna is actually the doer. Arjuna is not. He's just an instrument. But it's also so endearing to see that Krishna is wanting to give the credit to Arjuna. He's waiting for Arjuna to be glorified on the battlefield for killing such mighty warriors such as Bhishma, Dronacharya. Nobody could have thought of winning over these warriors. So this is Krishna's eagerness to have his devotees glorified. And this also tells us of Krishna's nature as a master, a teacher. Sometimes insecurity can creep in, even when we are guiding someone. But if that person supersedes us, then somewhere it starts to sting us. How can that person be more than me? I taught him. Or sometimes we take the credit. Look, I was teaching this person. He has come so far. We start to think of ourselves as the doers, wanting to take the credit. But Krishna wants no credit for himself. He wants the glorification of his devotees. So this is how Krishna reorients the discussion by talking about the Kala Roop, the time form. Now coming back to this verse, which is verse 38, and it's interesting, in the whole of Bhagavad Gita, this verse is in the collection of the verses which are offered as prayers. Nowhere in Bhagavad Gita Arjuna is offering prayers. There are, of course, a lot of questions, doubts, but prayers, no, only this verse is a prayer by Arjuna, and of course in conjunction with a couple more verses after this. And why Arjuna offers prayers? Because when you see something awe-inspiring, and especially awe-inspiring of the divine, it will be a natural human response to offer prayers. So this is also called Adbhut Ras, means that Arjuna is in awe and veneration of Krishna. Another is His Holiness Krishna Kshetra Swami Maharaj beautifully describes this as also kirtan. Why is that? Even this dialogue, this universal form revelation, all of this is kirtan by Arjuna, because this gives Arjuna the opportunity to glorify Krishna. So this is why it's a kirtan. He also explains that in Chaitanya Leela there are, kirtan is always actually two types. One is public and one is private. And in Chaitanya Leela also we saw that how Lord Chaitanya's career, so to say, starts with a private kirtan at Srivas Thakur's house. And there are people only by invite that who can join in the kirtan. It's more private in nature, but it turns so ecstatic that they are hardly able to contain it, and that's how they start to distribute the mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Yeah? So this is how it starts to become public, and more than public, it has now exploded, you see, to what extent. And after that, towards the end of his life, again, it starts to become private. So this private element of kirtan is also very something that needs to be nourished and cherished by us. Now this kirtan of Arjuna of glorifying Krishna, this is public because we all can access it, we all can talk about it, read it, contemplate on it. But at the same time, on several occasions, it has been emphasized that this is also confidential. So although on the surface it seems that it's a public kirtan, but there are elements of Shri Radha Gokulananda Bhagavan ki. but there are elements of privacy to it. This is why it's called Rajvidya Rajguhyam. That means all confidential. Another confidential element of it is Mama Mana Bhavamad Bhakto. So this is where Krishna is revealing another secret element of Bhagavad Gita, and that is, you always think of me, worship me, surrender unto me, offer your homage to me. This is how you can come to me. And this comes in confidential knowledge that Krishna is giving. And still another confidential knowledge that Krishna gives is, I'm telling you the secrets, by the way, here. Making it short, you're here at the right time. Yeah? So what is the another secret Krishna gives? Sarva dharman parityajya mam ekam sharanam vraja. That means, give up all sorts of religions. Give up your fear, your doubt. Just surrender unto me. Yeah? So this is another. So these are the ways we can see that although this kirtan is public, but at the same time, it's also private. It's also confidential. And in this verse, we see how Arjun, in his prayers, calls Krishna the ultimate resting place. What does that mean? Krishna, you are the ultimate resting place. I'm sitting here on these cushions, or you're sitting on a chair, but the chair is resting on the floor, on the earth. So earth is also resting somewhere, logically. And where is that? In Krishna. Then we can see how everything rests in Krishna is, let's see, all the vegetation, all the plants, everything that you see, even ourselves, can we survive without sunlight? So we depend so much on sunlight. So the whole creation depends on Krishna. So this is how he's the ultimate resting place for us. But at the same time, we are not so separated from him. That means we are part and parcel of him. How is that? Because our souls are part and parcel of Sachidananda. Krishna is Sachidananda. Yeah? So our souls are part and parcel of Krishna. If I make a mud pot, so that mud pot has come from earth, and I rest that mud pot onto the earth. So this is how we can see it. So the mud pot has come from the earth, yet it's different from the earth, but its identity is so dependent on the earth. This is how our identity is that of the servants, is that of part and parcel of Krishna. This is why we are always longing to be so happy, because Krishna is always happy. If our parent is so happy always, why are we so disturbed? Because we have forgotten him. This is the real disease, if you may call it. This is why one moment we are happy, another moment we are not. Haribol. Okay. And another thing that Arjun says Krishna is in his prayers, one was resting place. So like that, you can also offer prayers simultaneously with Arjun. It's your opportunity to do that. So one thing Arjun says is, you are the resting place. Second thing he says is that you are Veta Vedyam. Veta Vedyam means you are the knower. And you are the object of knowledge. You are the knower. Can any one of us claim that we know everything in the world? Can anyone claim that? Socrates once said, my only wisdom is that I know nothing. Yeah? So there's knowledge in that you know nothing. But Krishna knows everything. And he is also the object of our knowledge. We should care to know about knowledge, about Krishna. This is what it means. In our lives, we are caring about to know this and that and this and that, but we are never caring to know who is Krishna. What's our relation to him? How can that relation be reawakened to its original form? And that's by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And third is, he says, Krishna, you're the essence of everything. As we just saw that because we are in the part and parcel of Krishna, everyone in the spiritual world, there also you're the hero. Everything originates from you, whether it's the spiritual world or the material world. So you are the essence of everything. You are the Param Dhama, and you are also the oldest Purana. But it's interesting, even though Krishna is oldest, have you ever seen Krishna with a beard? So not old like that. Krishna remains ever youthful. He remains ever youthful, but he's the oldest. Okay, now final question. So how did we begin? We began this session by talking about why Arjun requests that Krishna, can you show us your universal form? We saw what is the meaning of universal form, and that is all that can have power, presence, thank you, and purpose, lovely. So these three things. And then finally we saw how that vision of Arjun turns from being thrilling to becoming so chilling. And what's the real purpose why Arjun asks this? But we have to ask one question in the end, is, do Arjun's prayers alter the mood of his relationship with Krishna? We have to remember, because prior to this, right in the beginning, Arjun is looking at Krishna as his friend. Then he says, Karpanya dosha pahat sabhava prichhami tam dharma samucheta yashrehasya nishchitam bruhitan me shishyasteham shadimam tvam prapannam shishyasteham. Arjun says, now I am your student. Why does Arjun say that? Why didn't he continue Bhagavad Gita's discussion as a friend? What do you think? At some point Arjun says, now I am your student. You tell me for certain what is good and bad for me. Yes, yeah. Okay, that's close. If two friends are talking, they can keep talking on for a subject matter, and none of them might reach onto the conclusion which is right. Isn't it? That's what we call it. This difference of opinion these days, isn't it? Okay, but if a guru and shishya are talking, then comes the surrender to the guru. This is where Arjun surrenders to Krishna and starts to identify himself as a student of Krishna, so that they can arrive at a productive, conclusive decision. And that cannot have happened in that mood. This is why guru is important for our spiritual lives. Yeah? And now finally, we ask this question, that do these prayers, the universal form, all of that, alter Krishna or alter Arjun's mood of his relationship to Krishna? So there are two answers to it. Contextually, yes. In the following verses, you're going to see that Arjun starts to offer obeisances from all the sides. Arjun repeatedly also starts to apologize that now I've seen your universal form, and so many times I've referred to as, oh Yadav, oh Krishna, like, how the friends would address each other. But please, I beg your forgiveness for all those offenses. So contextually, yes, it alters his mood and he starts to offer reverences to Krishna and starts to apologize to Krishna. But overall, no. And why is that? Because one, he continues to ask questions. If you're, let's say, in that situation wherein you're too awestruck by someone, you're too much respectful, you start to also think, should I ask this question or not? Should I stop here or not? Isn't it? But Arjun doesn't stop. He continues to ask these questions. And it's beautiful to note here that this discussion between Arjun and Krishna, this culminates into a deeper love between them. And how can we see that? Because this also culminates into Arjun's freely chosen resolve to harmonize with Krishna's will, to harmonize with Krishna's plan. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, Hare Krishna. I think we'll stop here, but if you have any questions, comments, any remarks, any reflections, please feel free to share. Any thoughts that came to your mind that you want to share? Any questions? All right, you're making my job easier, huh? All right, thank you so much once again for joining us this evening. You'd have Gora Arti at 7 p.m. So, yeah, welcome to join in that. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Ipajaya Jaya Gaurachande Aratika Shobha Jaya Jaya Gaurachande Aratika Shobha Kripa Jaya Jaya Gaurachande Aratika Shobha Janavitata-vane Jagamanalopa Sanjaya Mukunda